feeling a bit of turkey fever in Minnesota with Banks Outdoors. And have all sorts of action right outside our ground blind. And
3, 2, 1.
It is an all-steel, 3-blade broadhead. Designed to hunt. You know, just another day of work. We mold metal into the Montec with G5 Outdoors.
People are passionate about outdoor equipment. Get this, Americans spend more than $20 billion a year on gear. But no one ever really sees how their stuff gets made.
Well, that's where we come in. Each week, we throw open the factory doors and give you a behind-the-scenes look at how your favorite gear is made.
Made for the outdoors.
Welcome to Made for the Outdoors. Harvesting a trophy buck or a monster tom is no easy feat. The ability to deceive is easier said than done, especially these days when wildlife is smarter than ever.
Turkeys, they have eyesight way beyond anything a human has. So, I mean, you get out and anybody will tell you, you blink when you're out there, they're gonna run. They're gonna catch you. Being inside the blind, you can get away with a lot more.
It's all about blending in this ground blind called the Stump 4 from Banks Outdoors. This is my first Minnesota turkey hunt, and wow, wildlife put on quite a show.
This morning was absolutely perfect. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. Beautiful morning, beautiful sunrise, and no wind. Right from that point, getting out of the vehicle, I had a good feeling about today.
I think one of my favorite parts was just getting to watch this guy strut his stuff. He was large and in charge. You have to wait a bit to see what happens next. First, let's find out how this 4-man ground blind is made for the outdoors. The Stump 4 is 6.5 feet tall and 6.5 feet in diameter. It can be your turkey blind, deer stand, and ice fishing shanty all in one. It's made by Banks Outdoors, who are located in Cannon Falls, Minnesota. The business is family-owned and operated by the Banks family of 5.
It's a family company. I have my 3 sons working for us. My wife is here too as office manager, so a very family-based company.
Very, very proud to be a part of it with him.
My dad brought us up in the passion of the outdoors.
As far as hunting goes, I'm certainly the best of the 3. There's no question there. That's really not debatable, is it?
Parents Bob and Marlene and their 3 sons, Mitch, Michael, and Dan, live the lifestyle.
I've always been an archer. I raised my boys that way, so we just love the outdoors.
Together, these guys dream up and design the perfect blind, and have done so since 2004.
Cannon Falls is the town. The facility, we have 40,000 square feet here.
Making such a large product has a number of steps. So the process starts in the machine shop, and Dan owns this place pretty much over here.
This is where the magic happens.
This is.
My youngest son, Dan, he kind of followed my footsteps. He's more hands-on. He's our mold builder. Him and I are building the molds, doing the prototyping, building our routing fixtures, drill fixtures, and so on.
Fortunate to be able to kind of engineer on the go, you know, and that's very huge when coming out with a new product. Just from start to finish, that's really rewarding to see an actual product come out of the mold for the first time.
One of the reasons I went with the round blind, because if you look in the woods, everything's round. There is no square boxes. And I think a deer will look at a square box blind and say, oh, that looks human. It blends in so much better, and we put a bark pattern on all our products. It's kind of our signature. That's where the stump came from.
This mold will be lined with a common plastic called polyethylene.
We're buying polyethylene. It comes in a bead form, it comes in a tanker truck, and they blow it into our silo.
The tiny pieces of plastic are about the same size as BB pellets when they enter the pulverizer. This machine grinds them to the same consistency of flour. The blind comes in 2 colors, weathered wood, which is a brown, or alpine green. We're gonna change the plastic from white now to our weathered wood. This stuff's pretty much like food coloring. The dyed powder is then brought into this large hopper, and each batch is measured and weighed for the perfect amount. Because we really gotta get it to 275. Let's see if I can get it right on the head.
You gotta take your foot off the scale.
Oh, sorry, jeepers. Oh, I added 10 pounds to it. Yeah! I got it! About 20 times too long, right? Going up. Time to fill the mold. Before we do that, it's time for a quick break. But when we come back, we bake our blind. Woo! How's my hair, Mickey? Mickey, how's my hair? Supermodel hair. And get back to our turkey hunt. You're watching Made for the Outdoors.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Nutrisource, Nordic Components, Banks Outdoors, River Valley Power Sports, Ice Castle Fish Houses, and Suzuki Marine.
One of the reasons our blinds have taken off so well is because we made a round design. It's like 360-degree viewing out of our blinds.
Banks Outdoors is located in Cannon Falls, Minnesota. Building a 6.5-foot tall hunting blind that is also 6.5 feet in diameter is no easy feat. It takes one large rotomolder. Once the polyethylene powder is weighed, it's dumped into the mold. The mold is then put into the largest oven I have ever seen and rotates for about 30 minutes at 650 degrees.
This powder just starts sliding around and it starts eventually melting to the inside of the mold.
And this next step is going to blow you away. Woo! How's my hair, Mickey? Mickey, how's my hair?
It comes out of the oven and it goes into a cooling cycle and all these fans kick on and they cool the mold down.
After the mold cools, Charlie and I work together to remove the lid.
So you have 25 bolts.
25 bolts that I got. Now, is this still hot? Because it was cooled, but is it like...
It will still be warm.
Okay,
It's not...
so you can actually touch it. Done. The one thing you're going to notice around here is these blinds are huge. So there's a lot of heavy lifting. We're heavy lifting all day. This thing alone, just the lid, weighs 400 pounds. Everyone get back. Get back.
So now
Okay,
we're gonna
we're gonna
pick it up,
All right,
and then it's gonna swing back to you.
okay.
We can lift, that's high enough.
All right.
Now we just push that out over the top.
Time to blow the lid off this thing.
When the cover comes off the mold, there's thread inserts and they'll screw in eye bolts and then the crane comes over and picks the part up and moves it over and drops it on the floor.
So this is now our first look at our stump 4 coming out of the mold. Going up, coming down.
We let it totally cool and shrink and do everything it's doing for a day. And then the next day, while they're running this shots of this day, they're routing yesterday's parts and putting in the windows and the doors and so on.
So now that we're done, we have our door hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 windows, and there's actually a 6th window in the door as well. So you have a 360 view in your blind. This 4-man hunting blind is spacious. There is 30 square feet of room inside.
This age group that we're selling to are tired of hanging on the side of a tree. They want to take their grandkids hunting. They want to take more than one person. Maybe the wife will go out if she's comfortable.
Charlie then installs the floor, framed windows and doors.
Sound, and they're sealed up so they don't leak any water. Sound though, we have cabinet hinges with stays in them.
So one of the most important things is a quiet window, and these are pretty much soundproof. So you don't want a window that's gonna go as you open it. These windows are so quiet, they make no noise. Ooh, a 12-pointer. Get down, Mickey. Wide load coming through.
Looking good. Up. A little too far this way.
Darn it. Here she comes. The stump 4 is completed. I made it without crashing. Well, she looked good in the factory, but this is her in her element.
Yes, it is. We have it set up as a tower here.
One season, have this be your turkey blind. The next season, elevate it up, and can be a nice deer stand as well. For our Cannon Falls turkey hunt, we had the stump 4 in the middle of a field covered with corn stalks and a few decoys out front.
The hunting world has figured it out that blinds are actually a very strategic weapon to be used in your arsenal. You can really get into some mature animals by doing it, getting inside of a blind.
We had action all morning. 3 hens, 4 jakes, and 1 tom. Big boy down. Tagged out with the tom at 7 a.m. 20 pounds, 9 3/4 inch beard, and 1-inch spurs.
Beautiful bird, absolutely beautiful. He was definitely the dominant tom around here. Came in and he was strutting his stuff. And nice long spur, long beard, beautiful fan.
I have dreamed of doing this for a lot of years. It's just a day I'll never forget. And the bird is beautiful. An awesome blind, and what about the right broadhead? Up next, we're taking aim with the Montec. You're watching Made for the Outdoor. When looking at your archery accessories, this is probably one of the most important ones. The Broadhead, only 100 grains, so small, yet lethal. Back when paintings were more common than photos, primitive archers attached a hand-chipped sharp piece of flint to the end of arrows. Then broadheads were invented made of steel. Some even had multiple blades. And now there's a smorgasbord of options, whether hunters prefer a fixed blade or a mechanical broadhead. This is the Montec, a fixed-bladed broadhead that made G5 Outdoors who they are today. G5 Outdoors is a 3-generation family business located in Memphis, Michigan, which is about an hour north of Detroit. Their headquarters are also home to 2 archery lines, Quest and Prime. Back in 2001, G5 Outdoors introduced an all-steel 3-blade broadhead using a patented technology called metal-injected molding, otherwise known as MIM. And 15 years later, the Montec remains one of the company's top-selling products.
We're well over 1 million broadheads a year. Our goal is to be #1 in the world in broadheads and in bows.
Look at all of these G5 Outdoor patents. They have both fixed and expandable broadheads, peep sights, dual cam technology for your bow, and more. Months, if not years, go into the design and testing.
We try to drill down what that particular broadhead needs to be able to do. It needs to be strong, it needs to be very aerodynamic, you need to be able to sharpen it.
So this is the engineering department. No one but the engineers are allowed behind the doors. One of the cool things they have here is a 3D printer. It helps them build a plastic prototype that's 5 times the size of the broadhead. Engineers analyze the plastic designs and then build actual prototypes from there. The Montec comes in 2 different styles, stainless steel and carbon steel. Then,
this is the guillotine. This is our destructive test mechanism for our broadheads.
this drop test uses height and gravity to impart energy like shooting your bow.
All with the additive weight is 30.5 pounds.
And so if we drop it from here, this is like you with your vertical bow releasing, and if we drop it from here, this is like a crossbow.
That's a crossbow. All right, we're gonna take the safety out. Now we're gonna lift the weight. 3, 2, 1. Now we can remove the broadhead, still intact.
Now it's my turn. Here's the before.
Now pull that up.
Getting a workout in here today.
3, 2, 1.
Oh yeah, made some kindling.
We don't want to see any breakage. We don't want to see unusual wear.
Most people don't realize how much kinetic energy there is in a modern compound bow. Close to 90 pounds of kinetic energy. That has been designed into the guillotine to be able to reproduce that.
Up next, a little metal manipulation. You're watching Made for the Outdoors.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Central Boiler, Mountain Dew, Running Aces Casino and Racetrack, B&W Trailer Hitches, Bonfi, Illumicraft, and by Game Fair.
G5 Outdoors is located in Memphis, Michigan. Today we're making the Montec, a solid one-piece head-to-thread construction with a cut-on contact tip. 100% steel tough.
MIM, and that stands for metal injected molding. The unique thing about using MIM is that we can put every single grain of metal exactly where it needs to be.
The MIM process is done at another location, and the broadheads are then shipped to this facility in bulk. So if you know broadheads, this would not be a good idea. But Lou, why are we able to handle these at this point?
The next step is a honing operation where we sharpen them.
Every broadhead must be straight, so each is spin tested. First, the broadhead is loaded onto a stem and then goes under the microscope.
We spin check every single head.
So this makes sure it's straight so that when it goes to get sharpened, it's done right. This honing machine sharpens the blades.
And the honing machines are special CNC machines that we converted that actually do our sharpening.
So this is the actual raw material, and then this is the sharpened broadhead. Sharp, dull. Look out with this one.
So once they're sharpened, we check for weight. 90% of the broadheads are 100 grains, and we try to hold them within 2 grains. And this one is 101.5, so this one is good. So this is our in-house sharpness tester that actually Fred Baer came up with this method.
Where he took a rubber band, stretched it, and one stroke down.
Such a simple test, and something we can all do at home.
And the rubber bands kind of mimic, a vein in a deer.
While we're clowning around, some others are packaging the broadheads. And another team is assembling the mechanical broadheads. Mechanical broadheads are the most popular in the industry right now. G5 Outdoors has 2 broadheads in that line. The Havoc, which is a 2-blade 2-inch cut, and the 3-blade mechanical called the T3.
The tricky thing about mechanicals are the blades have to stay in place until they actually hit the target. At that point, there is a release mechanism that allows the blades to open up and become much more lethal.
Whether it's the Montec or a mechanical, There is so much design and detail, all wrapped up into just 100 grains.
Our goal is to be the #1 broadhead company in the world. My dad always told us, if you really want to know how good you are in manufacturing, you're only as good as you can measure. We measure how durable, how aerodynamic. We use high-speed cameras to be able to check to see if the blades on a mechanical are truly inside of the ferrule in flight. And then when they hit the target, they open up correctly. Being bow hunters ourselves, we really do take that to heart. We realize how hard it is to get yourself in the right position. We want that archer to be successful.
Oh, geez. I did bad.
That was great.
I gotta. 3, 2, 1.
There we are.
No one was harmed in the making of Made for the Outdoors.